Thank you so much for joining us on a Tuesday night from the Basement Podcast Studios, Kensington, Maryland. This is First Amendment Sports. This is Thank God It's Tuesday. He's the Great Pumpkin, a.k.a. Kevin Ricka.
I know this. Call me whatever you want, but I'm a fan of the team, the Washington football team that's undefeated lifetime versus the Dallas Cowboys. After one game, they don't have one stat better than ours. What a beautiful time to root for the Washington football team.
I couldn't agree more. What a better place to do it than from this man's living room. He's Tim Strachan. Looking good, my friend.
Yeah, man. Feeling good. Feeling good. You notice the Metamucil's gone. It worked.
Oh, the pipes have been cleansed.
Yes,
First of all,
they have. It's a great feeling.
They don't just stop being our sponsor.
Hey, man, how about them cowgirls, man? Ooh. They're terrible.
Be careful. That's offensive to cowgirls. I don't want to bore you with that story again, but
Yes, mostly reverse ones. There's no doubt about it.
Mostly reverse ones.
Hey,
Do us a favor.
Got the bragging rights. You got to use them, bro.
Click on that logo you see. It's above me here. I believe I'm pointing to it right now. This area right over here on the screen. I love to be able to do that. It's free. It'll give you a notification whenever we go live. It is the end of October, beginning of November. We will be courtside, field side, pitch side, rink side, on the links, covering live sports again very soon. We believe, we hope, and we pray. Give us a subscription. It helps us out a lot, and all it takes from you is a click. Join us as we cover our favorite sports team in the world, which used to be the Washington Redskins, is now the Washington football team. Thank you to Hawks Haven for making us the official Washington football team podcast of Hawks Haven. We appreciate you guys and everything that you do. I can't do anything except tell you right now that it is a damn good day to be a Washington football team fan. I mean, it just is. It's let me just make sure I put T in the screen so I can flip you around from there, T. I'll get things started by saying that we did it differently this past Sunday in Week 7 of the NFL season. For the first time in the history of our scenario here, this basement trio, we've watched the game together, obviously, with people, but we've never done like a three-man get together, watch the game. We conducted some business. We had a meeting of sorts to work on our other show.
Three-man weave, I believe, is what we ran.
It was
last Sunday afternoon. The Strachans run it nicely. The Marangolos do as well.
Nasta to everyone out there, and certainly to everyone who enjoyed a Sunday football. And again, before we even get to the game, again, the experience. You wake up on Sunday morning, it's Dallas week. All right? I don't care what the record is. I've never cared what the record is. I've been doing this for 44 years. My family has taught me how to do this for 44 years. It's a special day. Period. And we did it. The three of us, we watched it, and the idea that there's, I don't know, that people are down on football and down on the experience of the NFL, man, I just had a great day, and I feel like I'm all the way back as a result of it. It was like a spa. It's a football equivalent of a spa day. It was rejuvenational. My whole soul is just better for having gone through it, and I'm going to turn it over to T to take it from there because you were the host, and it was you made some good chili. Rounded out the experience.
I did make some chili. You're making some innuendos that maybe my chili cleansed did a lot of the cleansing itself, but
it did. It was very cleansing.
Yeah. Man, I looked at you guys at one point. I said, I don't think we've ever done this. Just the three of us watching a game.
Just the three.
Like yes. Go around and all that, but just us sitting down watching it and kind of doing what we do as the game's happening. and with some good drinks and you know a lot of fun. And what made it great is that the Redskins came out and decided to play football for the first time. Probably, I haven't seen you play football like that this year.
T-Bird, statistically speaking, the cannellini bean inclusion with the kidney bean is an A plus because I've always just gotten a lighter colored kidney bean. But I love me a cannellini. So the Strikers put some cannellini beans in that chili. The three of us got together.
It was bean heavy.
I love being
Yes.
heavy.
Yes.
And then we beat the dog shit out of the Cowboys as we hooted and hollered and got loose. I mean, let's be honest. T-Bird's got a 1-year-old who's taking a nap. I'm screaming at the television at the top of my lungs, and he's giggling, saying, "Yeah, you ain't waking him up." Well, good, because that's how we were raised, and that's how Lukey should be raised, this way. Man, I'm about to get into it. We're all about to, but you know, when the Dallas job opened up and the Redskins job was open, everyone just assumed Rivera was going to Dallas. That was off the jump. Ron Rivera is obviously going to go to Dallas and blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about the fact that both locker rooms exuded, y'all picked the wrong coach and we didn't.
Let me ask Robert Cohen as I kick it over to T for a little cannelloni bean analysis. Robert, are you getting enough tea? Because I'm gonna bump T up for you. Go ahead, T.
Oh, my mic.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Robert Cohen said he's not
Your
getting good tea
beans,
volume.
your shirt,
I
your
appreciate that, Robert.
you.
Cohen. You're a good man. Because I need to be heard. Listen, the cannellini beans, you got to go light. It gives it a nice look and a slightly different flavor and texture, in my opinion. I do think, Ken, I need to put a little bit more meat in there. I think you're right. Might be too much bean.
It was bean heavy, but the beans shined.
And, it was like Irish stew. It was a little bit of meat, but a ton of potatoes.
Yeah. So
all delicious.
It was football in the fall, our colors versus their colors, drinks on the table, and it was exactly what we haven't really had. It was exactly what it's like, that experience of why we've gotten to this time of our lives 44 years later, and we still that's still what we do on Sunday, because people have canceled that in their lives at this point all over the place, and it was just such a perfect day of football. So and a lot of that obviously had to do with the game. So let's start with that. Right away, it didn't really go our way from the standpoint of we did every single thing right in that drive. It was like 11 plays, 5 minutes, got to the 1-inch line, and somehow came away with 0 points. But not just somehow, like how we do it, like the way that we've gotten great at it.
All right.
I'm just saying it went from being we had points to had 0 points, and then it was like they take over, and then we commit the 5-yard penalty to get them out of the one. So it was like our perfect. That was exactly who we have shown ourselves to be, and from there, it all went our way.
It did. We were John Bobbitt away from a touchdown, and we got Lorena. Next thing you know, we got 2 points. T, I'm going to throw it to you from here. That's all. That's all I had.
Well, listen, when that game started, we all thought, oh, crap, here we go. This is embarrassing. Or, we have a nice drive. We get to the 1, we're stuffed. And I said it flippantly. I said, oh, no, we're going to get a safety here and turn things around. What happens? We jump off sides. We're like, good God, you got to be kidding me. I mean, it just had that feeling of here we go again. But then lo and behold, our defensive front puts on some pressure. We get the ball. We get that safety. And that game just took off. They needed a play. They needed something like that to kind of light a fire in their ass. And they didn't come out and just light it up. Okay, we're not talking about them going from last to first in a split second. But what they did is they came out and they played football, and they played it consistently. They played professionally. They played together. I think that was what Terry McLaurin was talking about at the end of the game.
Oof.
Guys, this is what a football team does.
T, let's talk about that for a second because I do want to talk some numbers, but we can jump all around time sequentially. Okay, so Terry McLaurin is a guy. So anyone who's ever played on a sports team of any sport, football obviously it helps you the most, but any sport you've ever played on, everybody who's on the team who puts on a jersey and shows up for games knows who the best guy on their team is, knows who like the leader on the team is. They know who each other are. You've been grinding it out in practice. You've been working it out, hanging out on the side, getting in games. You see what happens when they get knocked down. You see what happens when they knock people down. You just know your teammates. And so Terry McLaurin is that teammate that we all know. There might be you still might have a Chase Young on the team. You still might have Landon Collins on the team. But everybody knows who Terry McLaurin is. Like you see him work every day. You know that he's coming with something that's just more than most people have. And you referenced that thing he said at the end, and it was so you could move past it so lightning fast. It was 40 seconds. But man, there wasn't a person in that locker room who didn't think this is the guy we want.
Silence.
We listen to him. We follow him. He is. I mean, he's the kind of guy we haven't had. That was ours. We've signed him at the age of 35. We've signed him at the age of 37. We've imported quality people over the 20 years of Dan Snyder, but we have seldomly, if ever, drafted a man like Terry McLaurin who takes over the nooks and crannies of the soul of a team, because there's no other possible way. Because everyone allows it to happen because they know that's the way it's supposed to be. It's special.
Yeah, there's the lunch pail guy, right? And I think he's a lunch pail guy. I think Jonathan Allen's a lunch pail guy. We all know that Chase Young is a lunch pail guy.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is they come to work, they get their job done, and they expect everybody else to get their job done just as well, if not better. And I think that's what he was saying. And Jonathan Allen was quoted as saying the last 2 weeks of practice have been great. They've been a little bit different. They've been a little bit sharper. Those are two guys that come in and do their job every single day as best that they can from what we understand, because we're not there looking at it, but from what we understand, they come in, get the job done. Others notice it, and now they're acknowledging it back, saying, I think we're all doing that. And that's when you start to change the culture of a team, change the culture. Look, I'm sorry I even almost said anything bad about Riverboat Ron last week. This week, obviously, a win helps, but man,
first of all,
you're right, Kevin.
He didn't.
The right decision was made, at least in that scenario, and I think in long term. And you know what? Can we just take a second to say about Riverboat Ron?
Yeah, he rang the bell.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
He beat Dallas and he rang the bell in like a 3-day span. Are you kidding me?
Ding.
Crazy.
Ding.
I mean, for God's sake. Okay, so T, since you said it, before I pass it over to the Great Pumpkin here, I want, and I know he's got a lot of pumpkin responses at this point. I think he's been writing them down as we've been going through the show. Let's talk about culture of the team. When we got into the offseason, when we were looking for a head coach, when we were trying to think, what the hell are we going to do? It can only get worse, right? And then we hire Ron Rivera, and we do all the things that we did, in the draft and free agency. And how much more should we as a fan base expect from the guy who's in charge of changing the environment and culture of a team than going through this, refusing to take a day off, sitting down during timeout, sitting out when the defense is on the field, sitting out on the bench whenever he could because he's going through chemotherapy. making the hard decision of benching Dwayne Haskins for disciplinary reasons. We all believe they were disciplinary, and basically saying, oh, and Kevin, the Eric Reed thing. Basically saying, I'm willing to give a guy a shot, but I'm more interested in seeing what we have on the team in a Cameron Curl. So, and I know we'll talk more about that, but again, all of these things, they're consistent. You can say, well, he didn't call a timeout. You can say, well, he, why did he pull a rookie quarterback after 4 weeks? But what you can't say is if you take the whole picture and put it all together and you say, okay, he joined one of the most toxic professional organizations in all of sports, and he had to do a lot of things. He had to protect some guys. He had to make some character decisions, and he has to lead by example in many cases. I mean, all the things you want to look up to and be happy about being a fan of anything. He's putting the cornerstone and building blocks in place for that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that intro and allowing me to say this. Don't be a little bitch at Thanksgiving. Like, just don't. Like, we all knew we weren't going to have the greatest record, but what do we got? Well, it's not even Halloween, and we've already talked about the fact that, I'm sorry, for the first week, I can say we are in the mix, possibly the favorites, to win the NFC East, as I stare directly into that camera.
Yeah,
I wish I was kidding, but I'm not.
We are. We are a contender in the NFC East.
And it's not because of our conversation, my friends, or our hopes and dreams. This is 2020. Take your hopes and dreams, put them in your back pocket, and deal with right now. And right now suggests we're in the driver's seat, maybe, to win the NFC East. I don't give a damn. But hold on, Ken. This lunch pail stuff that T's talking about, I enjoy tremendously because Chase Young is definitely going to bring his lunch pail to work every single day. We just don't understand. It's going to have filet mignon in that bad boy if someone's taking care of him. He's just a lunch pail guy. So is McLaurin. If that's the future leaders of the offense and defense, we're moving forward. All we talked about with having no expectations about this team from the jump, with no preseason. So crazy that they're gelling right now after a Cowboys win. And their locker room is fractured, and ours is throwing people into the air and hailing the coaching staff. Like, I know it's 7 weeks in, but can we possibly just take a peek around and say, it's all right. This is all right. And it is, because we just beat we beat their ass in every statistical category and across the board.
The next handful of opponents we have, record right now is 7-19-1. That's what we have on this gauntlet to the NFC East championship.
All right, but before I'm done, T, I'm just going to say this. As you say, gauntlet to the NFC. Hey, that's what it is. There's no reason to be embarrassed about it. It's not our fault.
No,
and in fact, we're in the. I know, but all I'm saying is this: what a better year there is.
We're 2-5. We're 2-5. We play the Giants next. Then we play the Detroit Lions. Then we play the Cincinnati Bengals. Then we play the Dallas Cowboys. That's 4 straight games where no one, the line for gamblers isn't going to be out the back door betting against us, because the following week they will when we play the Steelers.
No, I'm saying is one thing, but 5-6 smells nice. 5-7 after the Steelers, but then look.
Well, but I'm saying even before the Steelers, you have 4 games that we could possibly.
That's what I'm saying. 5-6. 3-1 in that 4 weeks. I'm all over you, and I'm right there with you. We ain't beating the Steelers.
The Steelers would be the 5th game out. Yep.
And I said 5-7.
I got you. 5-7.
Come Pittsburgh, but then take a peek, and it gets really interesting. The last 4 games,
Carolina and Philly at the very end of the season.
It's okay to know we stink and aren't there yet and are on our way. But to understand what's happening in that locker room, in that building, that's never happened before. We're first against in pass defense, and that hasn't happened in 12 years. Who cares? That's not what we need. Is the stats? We need the Terry McLaurin stepping up, saying his piece, because the practice has gone so well for 2 weeks that everyone else said he should have.
Yep.
And couldn't wait to. Well,
calling
Dallas
out.
hired someone different. I don't care about
Kevin,
Dallas, but
We're
on the right way.
We got to give Keegan Tier a little bit of love because he's chiming in with some Cole Holcomb support,
well,
which
we haven't even
obviously
gotten there.
we haven't
Cole
got there
Holcomb.
yet. And Eric Anderson has a question that I think deserves for us to answer. It's a quick TO, a pre-bye week answer. You guys think Ryan Kerrigan gets traded? I would say probably not. But if someone offered me something good in the draft next year, I'd do it because we need the resources and we need the picks. And Ryan Kerrigan, if it's a team he wants to play for, I'm the guy who goes to Ryan and is like, hey, listen, here's the team who's giving us a third rounder. The third rounder would help us out a lot. Do you want to play for these guys? If he says yes, great. If he says no, guess what? You get to stay. You get to stay on the Washington team. I mean, I think that's.
No, he played 7 snaps last week. If someone wants to give us a third rounder for a guy that healthily played 7 snaps, come on, stop it. So he's not getting us a third rounder. He's done. This is it for him. Let's embrace him. He's done.
But people are getting hurt, and defensive ends are getting traded right now.
He can be if he wants, but come on, man.
Sure.
He's making 11. Is he making more than $11 million anywhere, or half that?
Well, we're going to be on the hook for some of that.
Oh no, this is it.
Yeah.
After the for the trade, yes.
He would possibly go somewhere where you could do what he's doing for us for a team that's contending, and they need that.
Of course,
I just
a luxury.
You got to listen to stuff. You got to listen if anybody calls you, but at the same time, right now, as much as I was on that bandwagon a few weeks ago on the rebuild, if you could get some value for him, get him out of here, But right now, if he's playing 7 snaps, dude, he's making plays on 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, you said his name, T. I heard you say his name this week.
He's getting a sack. He's putting pressures on. He's making quality of that. He's so efficient. I think that's why he's embraced Chase Young coming there. Not only is he younger and better and bigger and faster and stronger, but he's making his game better. He's making his game better. Because he's still capable of playing at this level. He just can't play 20-some snaps. But you put a guy like that in for 7, you're not getting a drop-off at all. In fact, you're putting a guy in there that's going to make a play.
He can spell quality players.
That's $1.275 million per snap weekly.
As Greg Martin is out there, it's a lot of money.
I know this. He's done. We can't have him back next year. We can't. Right?
I'm not arguing
not for
that.
money.
I'm saying,
and we love him.
He's like a Ryan Zimmerman type of guy. If he wants to keep playing, we'll pay him some amount of money to play for us.
Guys, I love what T's saying. He's got 4 sacks. By the way, guys, that puts him. I think it's like 9, 8. He's top like 12 sacks in the NFL right now. And so agents are going to have a field day with Ryan Kerrigan if he wants to be. But I don't think he's that guy.
So
if he plays for the Colts, that's one thing. Or us, that's another.
James Rainey is worried about the safety slot. We did touch on it. We touched on the Eric Reed thing. Listen, this is the team. James Rainey, the answer to your question about us, or Reed telling us to F off, which I don't think it's kind of.
No.
He didn't really say that.
No. But he got an F off offer.
He got an F off offer. The whole idea behind that was we need bodies. We've brought in a lot worse warm bodies than Eric Reed. We have guys we need to find out about. Again, this whole year is about finding out about guys. So Cam Curl's got to get snaps. And if Eric Reed is in the house, you think that he's going to show up and practice enough for the coaches to be like, well, if he's on our team, we probably need to play him because he's the best guy we got.
T, I want you to comment when you want, but I have someone when we're done.
I'll simply say this. I think I'm going to use another football cliche, but I think with this team that we're seeing, again, we were just talking about what is the shocker is that this is the next man up, right? This isn't a let's go shop and get somebody and spend a lot of money or anything like that because we're making a run for the Super Bowl. This is a next man up scenario like I've never seen it before.
Young man up.
What you can do, or else you're out of a job.
Yes, sir.
We'll go find the right guy when the time is right. We got pretty much all of our cards on the table as it is, and we're going forward the way it is.
And that's a
All right.
fact. And I love that you mentioned it that way. And I do love the fact that it is a situation where, I'm sorry, guys, are we the number 4 ranked, the number 1 ranked pass defense in the NFL? Well, Eric Reed, last year amongst all starting safeties, the third lowest overall grade in general, and first lowest overall grade in starting safeties in pass coverage.
Yeah, I mean,
And he gave up the most TDs and yards in the pass game of any starting safety in the NFL last year. Yeah. So,
we got that guy already.
do you know what's cool about what coincided with our offer to Eric Reed? Is that we did offer Eric Reed as to not disrespect him from Ron Rivera or their past and his ability to beat cancer. But
He wants to come on the practice squad and earn
it's a
his way
gross,
in.
disgusting
Fine.
thing.
Yeah.
And I think that was nice because he does not he has nothing to do with what we're trying to do. Nothing.
Yep.
And Ron Rivera still put it out there on the practice squad because no one else has. So I'm cool with that
The
because we got
Washington whippersnappers, James
Dude.
is calling us. I like it.
fair enough, but the whippersnappers are
Get off the lawn.
doing pretty good.
Get off T's lawn. That's what he's saying. But so that kind of closes out the Eric Reed thing. I mean, at the end of the day, this season isn't about trying to find the best veteran who can fill a spot. This season is about trying to find a guy who can be a veteran for us someday. And as much as I love Troy Shercock Apke, he has not shown himself to be that guy for us. Let me be wrong. Strike. Give me the whammy. That's a big time whammy.
I have
Yes.
it's a
Great
quick,
pumpkin.
The great company would like to say, you should have named DeShazer Everett
Yes.
Shercock because it suits him.
Yep.
Because he knocks the balls off of everybody
flies.
he
Flies around
tackles.
the field.
If you haven't seen DeShazer Everett just keep flying in the last 3 weeks and smashing whoever he tackles as an undersized pumpkin. He's just a little jack-o'-lantern.
Just a little guy. One of those little gourds, like a little teeny gourd. And-
That's
like
my
a
shirt.
lot of delivery. Just so again, you can't do it without guys who are playing a little bit above their pay grade. But at the end of the day, on my checklist of things to make sure that we say once again, you don't watch this team play and not realize that Chase Young is an amazing generational
best
talent.
player on the team.
He's so good, and it's so much fun. We have so many reasons to love him that go even beyond being on our favorite pro team. I mean, he's from the area, and he is a giant. When you watch him, just watching him stand next to guys, that's one of the things I like. When he's on the sidelines or he's on the field, just watching him stand next to somebody, and he's wearing his jersey half-shirted Ohio State style, and he is a monster. And you're thinking, like defensive linemen, there's a lot of. They always used to be just fat guys, and there still are some fat guys. But the crazy thing is those fat guys can run a faster 40 than all of us, I'm sure. But Chase Young stands next to those guys, and he stands taller than them. And even though by himself he looks kind of skinny, he's thick and he's huge, and his arms. He disrupts everything you're trying to do, and we have not seen that. I'm trying to remember the last time we saw that. We saw that like LeVar scratched that surface a teeny tiny bit in the middle of the field. And because he had the speed to get to the edges, and he ended, Troy Aikman's career, whatever. But we haven't seen a Chase Young level talent on our squad. The question I have for the board is who can we point to in 25 years who is a Chase Young level talent that we've drafted? I'm asking the board that. I'm asking you guys that. It's striking when you watch him play. Striking. And I've only used that word about Kevin Shirt once tonight, because it's a striking. Oh, I thought that shirt was brand new, by the way. I had no idea. That orange is held up.
He
Look,
carved me.
Are you going all color? Like just any temperature?
It's Halloween,
blush?
man.
It's
If I
crazy.
could wear this shirt once a year after tucking it into the reserves for 15 years, help me out.
I love orange shirts. I don't have enough. Anyways, anyone better than Chase Young? T, who's the last guy that we drafted that was even in the same ballpark?
Shit, no.
I mean, we drafted
Champ
Dexter
Bailey.
Manley.
I think Champ Bailey and Sean Taylor are in the conversation, obviously.
So Sean Taylor. That's
Sure.
what we're talking about.
That's what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious. It's laughable that some people are upset that he's maybe not living up to his potential, that he's not in that 9 or 8 sack category. But even as Jack Del Rio said today, he is a consummate professional. He's not just a sack master. He is controlling the game when his stats don't even say it, and he's making everybody else on that line better. I mean, you think Sweat is playing as well as he's playing if Chase Young isn't on the other side?
Oh, he's so
No.
good, too.
And he's the
Sweat's so good.
highest rated rookie out of the top 10 picks, the only one that's grading out over 8%. And just think how scary it is because he's still learning on the job. He's still learning every day and not figuring out or even employing the reaction to that. Wait until he figures that piece out. Wait until he figures out how to solve something that he's having trouble with right now with his athleticism and what he can do. And he puts together that veteran experience type of play. He's going to be impossible to stop.
T-Bird.
Go ahead.
Montez Sweat, right now,
He's all over
is
it.
tied for 8th in the NFL in sacks with 5. Kerrigan has 4. Chase Young has 2.5. He got in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yep.
We all saw that. So did the rest of the NFL. And if there's ever not 2 people by Chase Young, then I just am seeing double. But this is the drunkest I've been all football season at the Stragons on Sunday. And there was 2 people on Chase Young all day, and it did not freaking matter. So stop judging his stats and his tackles and his online stuff. If you use your eyes with Chase Young, since we've watched him,
He passes
then 10
all
years.
those tests.
No, but every play. And Ken Marangolo always said, T, since we started, I don't know if it was your uncle or your dad that told you, just pick one guy. Maybe your grandpa.
My grandfather, yeah.
Your grandfather said, pick one guy to watch. And in my head, T, I was like, how can you just pick one guy? It's football. I'm a quarterback. I see the whole field, which means I see no positions. Do you know what I do this year, boys? Ken, thank you. T, thank you. DeMatha, thank you. WCAC, thank you. I watch Chase Young
99.
in front of you guys every play because I know the replay's coming. I'll figure it out. Someone will tell me if it's second and whatever, but no one's going to tell me about the battle that he's getting into, and it's ferocious. Just watch him do this every play, and in 5 years we can watch everybody else as we win a Super Bowl because this is how we started, and this is how we finish it. Chase Young, every play is worth the price of admission. Done.
He's winning
He's
1-on-1s.
just
He's
as
winning
much-
2-on-1s. What's that, T?
Just as much, if not more, along with the rest of that front line, responsible for our leap in pass coverage. It's not because we went
Absolutely.
out and got ridiculous back end guys.
No
It's
doubt.
because we got ridiculous front end guys that can help anybody who is as athletic and as young and as eager as these guys that are back there now. And I've been kind of hard on Landon Collins. I actually, I wish him well. I hope he gets healthy. But I don't know if that's going to be a huge hurt for us. I think we got some guys that are willing to come in there and play their role and play it as best they can. They may not be the most athletic, but if they play, this is what we're talking about. This team's only chance is to be the ultimate football team, to play your role the best that you can.
Landon Collins.
If you all do it together,
is a-
you're going to
is
get
a-
it done. Whether you're a veteran making millions and millions, or you're a guy that's trying to prove, hey, I can stay here at this level.
Landon's going to be if he has a lot of people around him who are great, then he's going to be Hall of Fame level because he's a great athlete and he's a great safety. But for what we need, we need someone to come in and know that we have a front four that's getting to the quarterback pretty much every single time. And linebackers who are actually playing at a high level. Again, it's a good linebacking unit. Bostic, Pierre Louis, especially those two.
Come on, Holcomb.
Cole
Welcome.
Holcomb getting
Welcome
involved.
to
He had himself a
Dallas.
game. The whole thing about the experience of watching this defense play this season to me is about the front four and focusing on number 99. You'll never go wrong. I want to make sure I tell you the AGH. Here's why I would say the Darrell Green pick isn't the same. Darrell Green obviously was a great athlete, and Darrell Green was a good corner and a great Redskin, an all-time great Redskin, and a Hall of Famer. But even Darrell Green did not come into the league with the kind of ability and talent that Chase Young does. And I like the Champ Bailey and Sean Taylor. I can't think of anybody else in recent memory that we drafted besides, you could potentially throw in names like Trent Williams or Chris Samuels only because they were very, very good left tackles, top of the league left tackles. But outside of and I had a chance to talk to Joe Gibbs personally about Sean Taylor. You don't see that. There's something about these guys that makes them even like the next level up. And Darrell Green did a lot on speed and getting after it and staying healthy for 20 years. He's not on the same level generationally as Chase Young.
I don't think. I think when it's all no one is
sorry.
going to be. Health has got to stay, on his side, and we all hope it does. But if it does, this is the guy that we're going to compare the rest of the guys to from here on out.
May I say this, D? Obviously, the three of us feel this way. Mm-hmm. Obviously. But it is so far beyond our three-man conversation to have to have this conversation. It doesn't matter. We know it. It's understood. I hope the rest of you guys understand that we've seen a lot of good players. We're not about the one guy that's supposed to be. We're Redskin fans. Yeah. This guy's different, man.
For the first time.
We know his people. We know his background. We know his grade school, high school, college. I'm just saying to you, if you're going to listen to anybody, listen to us. And maybe don't. But geez, there's no way.
It's proven.
Well, you see,
anyways.
Look, open your eyes, understand that he is a baby. He is Bambi in the woods. And guess what? He's got a lot of guys out there teaching him. And you know what? What I said to you guys, he's so serious. When he came off the field after that, and he was yelling at the D-line coach and him were yelling at each other, they weren't yelling at each other. They were having a conversation. Everyone's living room's different on Sunday. It was so cool to me because I get to look at my son and say, be like Chase Young for every reason we've ever talked about, plus about three more that Chase brought up.
James Rainey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you disagree with us on Darrell Green, but we do disagree on Darrell Green. Again, we're separating the best from the best from the
Darrell
best
Green's
from the
the
best.
greatest of all time.
We're talking about the best from the best from the best from the best from the best.
Right.
You're talking about
We're
the
talking
expectations
potential.
coming in and living up to those expectations.
Yes,
We have had plenty of
that's
first-round picks. We've had plenty of first-round picks that we can just have a field day on how much of a bust or they ended up being. This is a guy that, hey, we didn't only just hit. We hit the jackpot with this kid. And we got to do everything we can to keep him as a Redskin for life.
Everything.
From here, and he's going to be, again, all health and all those things, stay in play. He could be an all-time great. And this is his rookie year, though. He has so much growth, which is the scariest part. He has so much growth to go, and he's already having this kind of an impact on games.
Free agent wide receiver is a big conversation on the board tonight, and
I know.
Getting Kelvin Harmon back. I mean, obviously, wide receivers is a hole for us, but I want to go out on a positive note, and that is we have a bye week this week, and we come back to a schedule that's very it's not just forgiving. It opens itself up to the idea that, you know, first of all, we're not the worst team in the league. I still get the tank for Trevor people. I still get the people who want a higher draft pick. Forget it. Take it out of your mind. If this weekend proved nothing else, it proves that we're not the worst team. There's a team in this league that is starting a guy named DiNucci as their quarterback, or a guy named DiNucci made it into the game in a situation where they needed him to play well. We're not the worst team in the league. We're not getting Trevor Lawrence. It's done. It's over. Move on. This season is on the line. The season's on the line, which is amazing for us to say at 2-5. The season's on the line. We're going to hit the field in Week 9 with a chance to win the division, and that's exciting. Forget about what our record says. It doesn't matter. That's the whole beauty of the National Football League and the way that it's been intended in the past, and the way that the owners and the competition committee intended for it now. Divisions matter. This is our division. It's been the best division in all the NFL. A lot. With Joe Gibbs, Bill Parcells.
Most Super Bowls of any division.
Most Super Bowls of any division. So we're having a down year. Fine, fair. That's okay. It doesn't matter because someone still gets to hoist the banner.
True.
And true
We're
also.
having a historically terrible year. But
Historically terrible year, but someone still has to win the NFC East. So in 20 years, the 2020 is going to be the number on someone's banner of a bunch of different years.
And they're still awarded a playoff spot, correct?
And you don't just awarded a playoff spot. You play at home. You play at home for a playoff game. And that is something we don't get to see a lot. And it is worth going after. And it is a mighty reward.
we do well. We do well in weird years, man. Remember the scab season, right?
Yeah, Ed Rupert.
We do well in weird years.
I'm with you. But by the way, Ed Rupert, another reason why we can't draft Trevor Lawrence. We're just gonna give him Ed Rupert's number. He wore 16 for 3 of the most glorious games of all time in Redskins history. Guy comes in, maybe you do. Sorry.
Never for 1 second were we getting Trevor Lawrence.
Never. We're not even close to being the worst team in our own division, much less the entire league.
Because here's why. We got a real coach, a program, people that believe in shit that just got started. And guess what we just saw? With Terry out there saying that's the first time he felt comfortable saying it. The whole locker room felt comfortable. We dogged Dallas's ass. They're out there talking about my coach who won the Super Bowl is not very good at his job. The life of the NFL fan is tough. But we got our boys right here. And guess what, fellas? This is Dallas week for 2 more weeks. Ken, Don't stop the celebration yet.
Nope.
Because
we've already
we
played
can't
3
win
of the
or
best teams
lose
in the
this
league.
weekend, but we can continue to have beaten Dallas's ass.
Dallas's ass has been appropriately beaten, and
will
that
be
will
next
be noted.
week.
We've already played Baltimore, Arizona, and the Rams. 3 very, very, very good NFL teams. They are in our rearview mirror. Yes,
True.
We still have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, we still have the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh.
But guess what? That's about it. That's about it. You can say what you want to about the San Francisco 49ers. They're not. They run out of bodies in like 17 days. They'll have no players left. I mean, I just looked at a list of players they won't have, and the Seattle Seahawks are traveling here, which matters. It's, for whatever reason, historically, you travel from one end of the country to the other. It matters. So, 7 wins, I think, is our navigational beacon to win the NFC East.
7 wins the East.
I think
I'm
7
telling
wins
you guys
the
that
East.
right now.
I'd love to see us win more. Yes, I would.
No,
But
7's an
I
outright.
think
My
7
prediction is
Yes.
7 outright wins the East.
I think 7 outright
No tie.
wins the East.
No ties.
So that's 5 more wins to get to the playoffs. This is our goal. This is what we're getting ready for. We're taking a bye week off to gird our loins, as Harrison said in Major League, for what we need to get 5 more wins. 5 more wins gets it done. And people were going to talk about the terribleness of the NFC East for a long time, as well they should. Really.
And they should.
And they should.
It's terrible.
But it'll be framed up in the nastiness of Carson Wentz not being good enough to lead a team in the terrible NFC East, about the Dallas Cowboys imploding, a team that yet again for the 100th straight year everyone picked to go to the Super Bowl in the national media because that's what everyone does in the offseason. And the young Saquon Barkley, less Daniel Jones, future New York Giants. We're talking about, if we make the playoffs this year, we hoist that banner and we let all of the shit talk and badness about the NFC East just fall on those other teams.
Hold on, you forgot about what the score would be. We don't care about that. We hoist the banner.
Hoist the banner.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not putting a record on that banner.
I agree.
We're just putting a year.
I agree.
You win this. You win
No
this
better
year.
year to get there, and I think we do.
Yeah, and finally, why it matters. Because of what you saw from Terry McLaurin. So whenever people were like, why don't you, what's the difference between, if you're going to be bad, why don't you just get the 3rd overall pick instead of the 11th overall pick? Here's why. Some people, shockingly, we haven't met a lot of these people in our 20 years as Redskins fans and our Dan Snyder, but some guys actually care about winning. They actually care about being on an awesome team. They actually care about getting better, improving, making people around them better. They actually care about the inside the whistles, inside the lines, one-on-one battles every single week. They care about winning them. They're not just there to be a millionaire. Some guys, we haven't seen a lot of them. Now we got him, T. Now we got him. And every win is a extra seed in that plot of land that we're trying to grow grass in for the next 5 years. Every single good result, every single locker room scene where a Terry McLaurin takes over and starts asserting himself. Every single time when you see a Morgan Moses or another veteran say, there's something to love about us. All of that matters now and for the next 2 or 3 years. T, that's the culture that I care about changing, and that's the investment in that culture. And I don't give a crap about a higher draft pick. Let me be the 7-9 playoff team. I'll take it all day.
So I think you're exactly right. I would just phrase it in that at this level, really at any level, but especially at this level, you've got to learn to win. You can't just be good and then turn things around. You got to learn to win. How many times do we see a team make it to the divisional playoff, but they everybody was kind of like, wow, this team's got something. They come back the next year and they win it, or they get to the Super Bowl and lose it, come back the next year and win it. That's because they learn to win from that experience. You don't learn to win without that experience, without taking those bumps, without having those challenges and finally overcoming them. And guys like Terry McLaurin, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, Brendan Scherf, some other guys that we have in place are who do you want to have help lead that charge. And then if that doesn't give you the number 1 pick every year, which let's be honest, that doesn't mean that you're going to be good.
No.
What you do is you find the value at the pick that you do have, and you find a guy that fits in that same culture and who's going to learn to win with them. You take what's given to you, and you can still make a team better that way. Do we have to address the quarterback situation? Yeah, we will. But I'm with you. Keep what is working and work and build on that.
Kev?
And I love the fact that we have the best defense we've had in 12 years. And forget about the numbers, because I'm done with the numbers, because I don't give a damn about the numbers. I do give a damn about the hire of Ron Rivera. And from day one, the three of us have sat here and said this. And as the weeks go, week by week in the NFL, that's a bit of a time. But, let that time pass, because this is a 3 to 5 year hire. And I truly adore what's going on in that locker room, because forget about the Cowboys, man. Forget about them. Except for we can't as fans of the Redskins. But they really wanted Rivera. We all thought they were going to get Rivera. Rivera chose something that he thought he could make better. Well, guess what? As Mike McCarthy looks across his staff after this past weekend, and Ron Rivera looks across his after dealing with cancer for the 14th straight week, we got the right guy for the future. And for the next 2 weeks, specifically for the present. Because if there's one thing we could have told Ron Rivera when he came to town, beat Dallas and we got you.
Beat Dallas.
So guess what? beat Dallas. Now what?
And
The celebration is on.
he said,
"Thank you, sir."
he stood in that locker room. The coolest thing about Ron Rivera, I think, is after, on his way to his last ring the bell appointment, stood in front of all those guys and it was like, does anyone have anything they want to say? And Terry McLaurin, popped up, perked up, and
For
spoke
the
up
first
for the
time.
first time. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing for a team. I mean, you accept the health risk. You accept that guys are going to get hurt and you're going to miss guys that way. But over the long period of time, you don't miss on character, integrity, and quality individuals in a locker room. And man, you could make up some for you can lose a guy or two because everyone does, and still recover if you have a locker room full of those kinds of guys. And Ron Rivera is one of those kinds of guys. So Rob Cohen, I don't think Tyrod Taylor is our guy necessarily.
No
And I
chance.
wanted to respond to one other thing. I had something else someone on the board said. They were worried about Haskins. So, Greg, I do think, unfortunately for T, who's going to have to buy some whiskey, Haskins is definitely starting a quarterback for us again this season. And the last thing I'll say to the board is really, really appreciate you guys showing up for us every single week. If you wouldn't mind, please click on the like on the bottom of the screen. Click on the subscribe button if you haven't already. Tell a friend. That's what we used to say in the 90s. And let people know with all your heart that people who appreciate football and DC sports, this is their show. On that note, and ahead of a bye week, which will only extend the celebration of beating Dallas for us.
So we can clean it.
He is Tim Strachan.
Always got to extend it before you clean it. I mean, it's a part of the rule. And when it's Dallas week, it makes it so much sweeter. This has been awesome. Have we established a routine here? Is it Strachan House every Saturday? I mean, every Sunday?
Yeah, we have established that.
It's Strachan House, chili, and drink way too much
right
on
over
Sunday.
there. I want to make sure she hears that.
It totally changed my whole dynamic of the week.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's a working day. It's a working session, obviously.
It was.
We were completely at work.
If the result is even close to what it was this past week, I say we should do it every week.
The problem for Leslie is that we come back to play the Giants in a game we should completely destroy if we're doing our jobs correctly, which would mean at that point in time, we'd be there pretty much for the rest of our lives on Sundays.
Yeah.
I love it. This guy here, a.k.a. the Great Pumpkin, a.k.a. Kevin Ricka.
Just saying, like
You used to be a greater pumpkin. Now you're like one of those little gourds.
my ancestors were great pumpkins, and I'm gordish.
But I don't know.
Don't break my stem. Come on.
You broke the stem.
You can't just buy a gourd and then break the stem right away. All I know is this. I have been celebrating properly because, as my family knows, beating Dallas, I mean, that's just all right for 6.5 days.
It's its own reward.
That's it. But if you don't celebrate that 6.5 days after Dallas, what can you celebrate? And what has been celebrated? And let the Rivera stuff die down and the Scott Turner stuff die down.
Oh, yeah.
Let's proceed to win games by $8 billion and dominate every statistical category against the Cowboys, because we're on the up and coming in this terrible NFC East, not on the down and falling out.
No.
Where we've lived for 20 years. We've got something coming.
We got this. We got this. 5 more wins. Take the week off. Show up for week 9. Get ready for a good solid run. We'll be back next Tuesday night with a preview for that just amazingly delicious appetizer for the rest of the season, which is the New York Giants game. Takes us right up, leads us right up into a Thanksgiving that I hope is going to be great for everybody against Dallas. 2-0 against Dallas.
It's gonna
God, that'd be
great.
so great.
It's gonna be great.
Listen, thank you so much to everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Until next Tuesday night, I'm Ken Marangolo, and this was Thank God It's Tuesday. Robert Cohen, we are still live.
Still live. Still live. I love the fact that you just mentioned that we're about to play Dallas and beat their ass on Thanksgiving.
Done.